Hi, this is Steve Brandt, coming to you from the Route 66 Spirit of America Museum in Stroud, Oklahoma. This is February 20th, 2025, and I want to continue this series, A Wiser Way Forward, by discussing how systems thinking, which is sometimes called design thinking, and I consider this the new thinking we need to get out of the crisis we are in, can be used to identify one of the foundational flaws in how American society is organized. I'm referring to, of course, the design created by the founding fathers, but I am always happy to acknowledge that they considered the creation of America to be a great experiment. They were, they understood science. They understood the scientific method, at least some of them. And the basic point is calling what we have the American experiment offers us the chance to think like scientists who observe their experiments, and if the experiment is not working, they don't continue it. They understand and they recognize that it is not producing the desired result. They stop the experiment. They look at why the result is turning out opposite to what they want or different to what they want, and they redesign the experiment in the hope of achieving a better result. Today, it's quite clear that the American experiment is not producing the desired result. And I am of the opinion that it cannot, if it continues the way it is going and has been going for quite some time, really, especially when you look at, as I have, the foundational flaw in that experiment. So the purpose of my work is to offer people a way to examine the American experiment, to see not just the fact that it's not working, but why it is not working, and then to offer up a change in the experiment's design, a change intended to fix the reason that results are not turning out the way they were intended by the founding fathers, who wanted everyone to have access to the pursuit of life, liberty, and happiness. They wanted equality under the law. They wanted the rule of law, not the rule of a king. So here briefly is the foundational flaw that the founding fathers did not see when they created the experiment. That flaw is the belief that everything needs to be organized around top-down management. That's how things were in the 1700s. Even though they didn't like that there was a king, they organized themselves around the principles of there being a boss at the top of the organization chart. Many of you probably know it's the pyramid. The boss is at the top, and then there are lieutenants below, and people below that, and down to the ordinary worker at the bottom of the pyramid. Well, since that's all they knew, that's how they set America up. We were not going to have a king, but we still were in this top-down management belief system. So fast forward to the 1920s, 30s, and 40s, management pioneers, including Dr. W Edwards Deming, who I studied with in the early 1990s and corresponded with, came up with a way to organize how we do what we do without having a top-down management structure. It was a flat hierarchical structure, a flat chart, not a pyramid anymore. In fact, one could say it was a circle, and at the center of the circle were the goals, objectives, and values of the organization. So instead of being at work to keep the boss happy, you are at work to pursue the organization's objectives, its vision, according with accepted and codified values and principles. And organizations that existed like that, as Dr. Deming codified them, were learning organizations as well, because everyone was talking to each other, and the conversation largely revolved around what mistakes were being made, because mistakes were opportunities to learn and improve. So you not only had an organization focused on the vision and the mission, instead of keeping the boss happy, you had an organization focused on people learning from each other so that they could constantly get better at what they were there to do. So mistakes were no longer something you hid, because the mistake was an opportunity to learn. You literally celebrated mistakes as chances to make things better, because you didn't want to make the same mistake twice. And how do you not make the same mistake twice? You study it. You understand the cause of the mistake, and you eliminate that cause. So this is what people like Dr. Deming developed in the 30s and 40s. It's actually how we produced all the weapons we needed in World War II quickly and at very high quality. Dr. Deming helped with the war effort, bringing this learning organization, this flat structure, to the war production effort. And in fact, he was sent to Japan in 1950 by General Douglas MacArthur to teach them this approach to producing what they were going to produce after the war, because we wanted to help Japan rebuild, and we knew, our government knew, that Deming and his principles were a brilliant approach to making things better. And the Japanese learned from Dr. Deming. They created a prize in his name, and in the 1970s, their products were the best in the world. And we were suffering in the competitive world of economics and capitalism because their products were so good. So this learning organization culture can be translated to the larger society. I'm going to put a link in the description to this video about the Communities of Excellence program that has existed for some time, and I was involved with a precursor to that effort called the Community Quality Council. I'm going to stop for now because I don't want to give you too much in this second video, but I hope you appreciate the concept of the learning organization and not having the boss be at the top of our minds when we are doing what we're doing. It again has worked in businesses. It can work in businesses today. It's not as well known as it was during the 40s and 50s, but that's another part of my work, is to bring this transformational approach to how we are organized back, and to show people how that approach can be expanded in use to the whole of society. I'm really glad you're on this journey with me. I appreciate all the new subscribers, and I look forward to hearing your comments and continuing this process going forward. Thanks very much.